Welcome back to Comicstorian, where we take some of the lore within your favorite video games, comic books, and movies and break down the storylines into an audio drama. We allow you to catch up on your favorite pop culture universe while getting on with your busy day. Recently, we've been covering the storyline of the Maximum Carnage, a story from the 90s as a way to celebrate all of the Carnage content that Marvel is pumping out right now. Cletus Cassidy, aka Carnage, was incarcerated in Ravencroft, but he did manage to break out, deciding to get his revenge against Venom and Spider-Man and all of their friends. He teamed up with Shriek, Doppelganger, and Demogoblin, with the ultimate goal of beating everyone back. Spider-Man was trying to defeat Carnage, but there was a large debate between Venom and him as to how they should handle Carnage, with it basically boiling down to no one can trust Spider-Man because of his moral code. They don't trust that he won't basically leave them to die while trying to save everyone around him, leaving Spider-Man to decide that if even Venom can't trust him, he's got to be on Venom's side for this, so he better start acting like Venom. So Venom, Black Cat, and Spider-Man all meet up at the orphanage where Cletus grew up, looking for clues to discuss future plans. Venom says that Carnage has apparently mutated, but he began as a spawn of the Venom symbiote's suit, and he may still possess some of the same vulnerabilities. They always found that Reed Richards' sonic gun was rather unpleasant. Black Cat says that if that's the case, maybe they could recruit the Human Torch. Fire hurts symbiotes, right? And Spider-Man tells her, that's a good idea, but bad timing. The Fantastic Four are out of town and so are the Avengers, but Firestorm might be a good substitute. Cloak says that he'll go. With his teleporting abilities, he can search for her much quicker than any of them. So he disappears, and just as he finishes, Spider-Man says that the way that he does that makes web-slinging seem like taking a crosstown turtle. But wait a second. Now that he has a second to think about it, doesn't Cloak need Dagger to help him teleport? Except that she's dead. Carnage and his cronies killed her. As Morbius splits off to do his own investigating, Spider-Man, Venom, and Black Cat take to the streets to look for clues. Meanwhile, over at New York's Met Museum, screams can be heard as Carnage and company tear through the security team keeping watch. Carnage watches Shriek and Doppelganger and says, "It seems like we're all having a grand old time smashing stuff. Looks like the party is just getting started." Just then the officers storm the building, telling them that that's where they're wrong. The NYPD's Extreme Emergency Team have weapons specifically to handle crud like them. As the officer aims his gun, a hand reaches out grabbing him, and that's when the officer begins to wither away. Carnage yells, "Holy smokes! I've only heard of that guy! That's Carrion! He decays people by touching them! Used to be my hero, but right now, I'm looking at a perfect partner." But it's not just the newspapers that are spreading the world of Carnage's carnival. Deathlock watches over in cyberspace and sees things in real time as they're happening. Right now, he needs to scan for the source, and then he takes the steps to eliminate it. Back out in the streets, our unlikely team of heroes begin to set out on patrol when Spider-Man notices a carjacking taking place. He says he doesn't have time for small-time crimes. He's got more important, but he jumps down shouting to himself, "What am I thinking? I can't pick and choose who deserves to be saved." After knocking out the robbers, Spider-Man's Spidey sense goes off, and the owner of the car swings at him, telling him, "I won't let you take my car either." Spider-Man dodges, asking, "Is everyone in this town going nuts?" One of the robbers then gets back up, stating, "Thanks, Pops. Now I can squeeze off a couple of..." But before the robber could fire his gun, Black Cat jumps in, kicking him, telling Spider-Man, "You're getting careless. How many people has Carnage butchered in the time it took you to play traffic cop?" Venom laughs. "Sounds like the pussycat is getting sassy. Come on, we've got work to do, Webs." As the three swing off, Spider-Man thinks to himself that there's gotta be more to this than just mob mentality. But what could it be? Meanwhile, over in Manhattan, Carnage sets loose his team of supervillains to terrorize the next unsuspecting group of people. He bursts out laughing, stating, "It doesn't get any better than this! Guts and glory, and the freedom to do whatever the heck we want! Just because we can." As Carnage begins to move to his next target, he's blasted and Deathlock charges in, stating, "Took me a bit, but I was able to locate the source of the horrors being committed." Demogoblin calls to Carrion to handle it, but as Carrion grabs onto Deathlock's metal body, he smiles. With nothing to decay, he punches Carrion off just as Demogoblin begins to throw pumpkin bombs. Deathlock rolls out of the way, shooting at Demogoblin's glider, causing him to crash into the ground. A sonic blast then shoots by, with Deathlock asking, "What the heck was that?" The Doppelganger swings in, but before it can attack, Deathlock kicks him away. Shriek fires off another sonic blast, shouting that she will kill him for hurting Doppelganger. The blast hits Deathlock, throwing him into a neon sign that's behind him and electrocuting him. As he gets tangled in the wiring of the sign, Carnage jumps up asking, "And what do we have here? Gather around, kiddies, we're gonna have some real fun." But meanwhile, with no other choice, Spider-Man, Venom, and Black Cat head over to the Four Freedoms Plaza to acquire something that Mr. Fantastic has been working on personally: a sonic blaster. Venom rips open the door, grabbing the gun before anyone else can. He tells them that he'd like to hang on to it since it can only hurt them. Shortly after that, the three of them meet up at the rendezvous. Spider-Man says that all they have to do now is wait for Cloak. But Cloak appears, stating, "You're going to have to wait no longer." As his cloak opens, Firestorm steps out, stating that Cloak gave her the rundown of what's going on, and she would like to help in any way that she can. But against Carnage, Shriek, and the rest, do they even stand a chance? Spider-Man picks up the sonic blaster, telling them, "We do now!" A short while later, over at the Daily Bugle, Ben Urich tells Jonah that it's crazy out there. Downtown looting, uptown rioting, wilding in the Central Park. The entire city's under siege. Jonah steps into his office telling him, "Yeah, from itself, we got reporters out there that are covering the whole mess, Urich, and all you gotta do is print the ugly truth." But as Jonah says that, Spider-Man webs up his hands, telling him, "Hey, we need a little help." So Jonah says, "You're just proving that Spider-Man is really a menace. Keeping company with a ruthless killer and a glorified burglar? Well, whatever you want, you're gonna find it elsewhere. I got a newspaper to publish and..." But Black Cat stops him, stating, "That's why we're here. We need you to help set a trap." So Jonah shouts, "This is too many times that I've been invaded by superpowered freaks!" The answer is no. He then looks up at Venom, who's licking his lips, and he says, "Unless, of course, it would be in everyone's best interest for me to comply in this completely different situation." Later, back at the Brooklyn orphanage, Carnage lands on the building, stating, "Home sweet home, fellow outcasts!" He jumps in the hole of the roof, and Shriek asks if there's going to be anyone for them to kill. But Carnage says that the only thing that they're killing right now is time. "Gather round, boy toys and ghouls. It's time to take a trip down memory lane, so that you might understand what Carnage is truly all about. After killing my dad for killing my mom for trying to kill me, or was it the other way around? Anyway, glowing up little Cletus was almost 8 years old and already the bully's target in the cafeteria." Carnage then punches a hole into the next room, stating, "This room! No one could forget this room! Brooklyn Orphanage was way ahead of its time when it came to the concept of tough love." Just then, a web net is shot and Spider-Man swings in, stating, "Everyone secretly loves a sad story, Carnage, but this one's leading to a real tragic ending." Seconds later, the entire building explodes, knocking Carnage and the others out of the building. And Venom says, "Looks like first blood is ours for the taking." As the brawl breaks out, Carnage grabs a hold of Spider-Man, telling him, "Seems like the spider got caught in his own tangled web." Spider-Man struggles, telling him, "I still got an ace up my sleeve." Just then, Firestorm flies in, hitting Carnage with a fire blast. She says that his mutated suit is obviously vulnerable to her microwave heat. Carnage then jumps up, telling her, "You're just another pest that's going to die!" As he jumps up, Venom hits him with a sonic blaster from the blaster, stating, "Actually, they lied. We have 2 aces." Carnage laughs. "That's it! Hit me with everything you've got!" He slowly walks towards the fire blast, with Firestorm flying by, adding microwave blasts, and Carnage stops. The symbiote melts away, with Cletus asking, "What's going on?" Morbius then joins the fight, telling him, "It's time to level the playing field." But while Carnage's forces are busy, Venom picks Cletus up, stating that without this clown's cowardly second-rate symbiote, Big Bad Killer Cassidy is just another scoop of face meat. Cletus begs him, "Please don't!" But before Venom could bite off his head, Spider-Man webs up his shoulder, pulling him back, telling him, "There has to be limits!" Venom tells him, "We've already reached those limits." And Shriek scratches Cletus' face, telling him, "Remember, no limits, no weaknesses." As the blood drips out, the symbiote begins to take back over, stating, "You're right! Now that the alien symbiote has permanently altered my very bloodstream, Carnage never dies! You had your chance and you blew it! Nothing can stop me! You can kill it, but baby, you ain't gonna die!" As the combined forces of Carnage and the others rain down, Spider-Man quickly throws up a web shield, asking, "What are we gonna do now?" Venom tears through the shield, shouting, "We ain't gonna hide like some scared bunny rabbit. We're moving in for the kill." Venom, Morbius, and Cloak all rush in, with Firestorm asking Spider-Man, "What are we supposed to do now?" Spider-Man tells her that in this case, the end justifies the means. Firestorm begins to state that she can't. Nothing justifies these methods. Black Cat jumps down, telling her that she isn't thrilled about it either. But Carnage and his crew are already turning the city on its head. While they're trying to figure out what to do, others are putting their lives on the line. Be sure to do a body count when you're done. As Black Cat joins the fight, Spider-Man and Firestorm look at each other, and they follow. Shriek looks over at the mob and says, "Oh, would you look at that? Ever since I've had my run-in with Cloak, I've been able to take those little bed bugs in my head and transmit them to anybody who's close to me. Normally it just shakes them up a bit, but since hanging with Carnage and soaking up his vibes, I've really been able to pump up the volume. Let's go, everyone. Time to be just like the bad guys in comics." Morbius grabs one of the mob people, stating that if they chose to side with Carnage and his vile breed, then you must share his fate. But before Morbius could bite into the man, Black Cat knocks him away, asking, "What do you think you're doing?" The man gets away with Morbius yelling, "Your compassion will be the death of you." Black Cat thinks to herself that maybe Spider-Man was right. Morbius is as much of an inhuman monster as, but before she could finish that thought, she's bashed in the back of the head by a crazed civilian. Morbius turns back to help, but then Demo Goblin throws more pumpkin bombs, hitting him, stating, "You should heed your own words." Carnage looks at some of the civilians, stating, "Oh, look at this! Think it's about time to cut to their livers." Spider-Man swings in punching, telling him, "I didn't think this nightmare could get any worse, but it just did." Carnage fires off a spike, asking, "What are you gonna do about it?" But as he finishes stating that, Firestorm hits him with a microwave blast, shouting, "Get back!" Carnage runs away, with Firestorm stating, "Would you look at that? It worked!" Venom lands, telling her, "That's right. You scared him half to death. Now all you gotta do is hit him with that blast and don't let up. Cook him until he's a red smear." Firestorm yells, "No way, I will not use my power to take another human's life." But Spider-Man says, "There has to be another way." Venom shouts, "There is another way! Look around! The blood of innocents is everywhere. The only way to end this is with Carnage's death." Firestorm looks at Spider-Man for support, but he soon tells her, "Venom's right. We have no choice. Heaven help us, there is no other way." Firestorm flies up into the air, chasing after Carnage, and hits him with her blast. Is this what she's supposed to do? Is she really going to kill Carnage? He screams for her to stop, but Venom shouts, "Keep going! Kill him!" Firestorm tries to shut out Carnage's pleas, but soon she hears somebody else. Spider-Man. He yells, "I was wrong! You've got to stop! In the name of God, stop!" The microwave blast stops and Shriek runs to Carnage's aid. Firestorm floats to the ground, telling herself that she stopped just in time. But Venom grabs her by the hair, shouting, "Betrayer of innocence! What did you do? Right now, you don't have just Carnage out for your blood. You've got us!" Spider-Man tackles into Venom from behind, and Venom turns back, telling him, "You're too soft, too weak, never be like us." He swings his massive arm, knocking Spider-Man across the park, and when he looks back, he sees Carnage walking towards him with Shriek's help. Carnage says that he's going to let the wife take first crack at him. A little humiliation before you get finished off. Venom yells back that the only humiliation that he's seen was him begging and crying like the bedwetting infant he really is. Shriek focuses her sonic blast on Venom, but Venom pushes through them, telling her, "It'll take more than that to stop me." But as Venom reaches out, he realizes his symbiote suit is gone. And as Eddie looks up, both Carnage and Shriek punch him over and over again. Carnage stops Shriek and she asks, "What are you doing?" And Carnage tells her, "We can't kill him yet. We gotta keep peppering Daddy here with those sound waves and you'll see why. But for now, let's take the sonic gun that Venom dropped and make this a family reunion they'll never forget." With Carnage escaping with Venom's body, Spider-Man is left to wonder, did they just lose? Was all of this for nothing? No. There's gotta be a better way. There's gotta be something out there to help them defeat Carnage. And just then, a voice calls out asking, "How about a hand, son?" Spider-Man looks up, and Captain America holds out his hand. By the looks of it, you could use it. And that brings us to issue 9 of Maximum Carnage. A crazy story that's basically just everyone fighting. It's based on the video game, that's kind of what you do, so they just wanted excuses to have everyone fighting it out. I really hope you guys are enjoying this. We're going to get back to doing Absolute Carnage next week, along with more Maximum Carnage. And we're going to be tackling the Ghost Rider very soon, and we just did some Teen Titans. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up to date on all of your favorite comic book goodies right here at the Comicstorian channel. Don't forget, you can find me over at Twitter at Comicstorian, and you can leave comments down below. I do read them, but it's very hard to respond here on the YouTube side. Either way, thank you so much for your support to this point in our entire YouTube career, and I'll see you guys next time right here.